We'll be continuing with Ansible day 6 session. So Ansible day 6 session. So in the previous sessions, like we had learned about, we had covered many of the modules, right? So M repository, YAM service, line in file, user group. These are the some of the models which we had covered in the last session, right? So in today's session, what we are going to learn, what is today's agenda? So basically, we need to learn about how to write a playbook actually. So that's what we'll be learning today. So it is very important that all these days we are doing in a command line, right? That we call the ad hoc command, right? So in a command line, you can execute, you can achieve any task with the help of a command line that we call the ad hoc command. So the same thing we can do it in a playbook also. So playbook is a better way to do it because it's a file method, right? So playbook is a file method, and to organize or to execute more than one or two tasks. Suppose you want to execute more than one task. So it is always better to write playbook, right? Suppose if there is a requirement, suppose you said, Rajesh, can I do the same thing? Like suppose I have 2 to 3 tasks. Can I do it through ad hoc method? Like, yes, you can do it in a command line. But again, what happened, right? There'll be issue with the maintainability. Tomorrow, suppose like some requirement comes where you need to do changes in ad hoc command. Again, you need to edit it actually. So it will be little difficult to manage through the ad hoc way, right? So that's the reason what happened, right? We started writing a playbook file. Okay, so playbook file. Okay, so what I will do, like before I start writing a playbook file, basically all these playbook files or playbook files are written in YAML or in JSON format. Always, whenever you write any playbook file, always we write in a YAML or in JSON format. Okay, now before we start writing into the start writing the playbook file, we need to understand about what is this YAML and what is this JSON actually. So these are nothing but these are the data formats, right? YAML or JSON or what? It is nothing but it's a data representation, right? Right? It's a data representation. So what I will do, like I will just have an introductory session on how to write a YAML or how to write a JSON or what was the need of us to learn on the YAML or JSON. So that's what we have to learn now. Okay. So to do that actually, so let us take some example actually. We'll take an example. Suppose for example, I have some application. I have some application. Suppose assume that this is a kind of a something like how I can say, like can take an example of something like a restaurant operations applications, right? So where this application basically it maintains a details of all the food which has been ordered by the people or by the vendor, right? So this is one application which basically it we have used something like a Python language to write that application, which is not but the restaurant operation application, right? And there's one more application which is nothing but it is something like it is like how I can say order collector application, something order collector. It means suppose you go inside the restaurant, right? Like a person will come and he'll ask you for the order, right? And basically he will be holding some kind of a PAM top or some kind of a kind of a small mini laptop or a PAM top. So he will be taking an order, right? So he will be collecting an order, right? So basically what happened, there will be an order application, collector application, which has been installed in his PAM top, and he would be taking an order through that, right? So what happened, right? This assume that this order collector it is written in some other language, something like Node.js actually. So we have two different applications now. So it is for the single requirement. Like you suppose like you have a hotel. Suppose you have Oberoi Hotel or Taj Hotel or any hotel, right? So this is a hotel actually. Like these are the applications for some kind of an ordering application, right? Where the customer orders the food or whatever he needed, right? And basically at the back end, there will be some kind of operation will happen where all the data will be collected and further all those data will be processed, right? So these are the two applications. One is the order collector and other is a restaurant operations. And these two applications are written in different languages. One is written in Python and other is written in Node.js. Now the thing is that actually whenever these two application, if they want to communicate each other, it means that Node.js application, which is number the order collector, after it taking order, it has to pass on that order details, everything to this application, right? Restaurant operation application, right? Which is written in Python. It has to send the data. So similarly, what happened, the restaurant operations, which is written in Python, right? That Python should understand whatever the data which has been sent by your order collector, right? So there has to be some kind of a communication between these two applications, right? So each and every, so what happened that Python really cannot understand the format, or it cannot understand the Node.js language format. Similarly, the Node.js doesn't understand the Python, but there has to be a way, right, where the both this application can communicate each other, and that is via with the help of a we call it as a data collector or data exchange collector, data exchanger, right? We have some kind of a data exchanger, right? We have a lot of data exchangers, softwares are there, data exchangers, programs are there, not exactly program we say. So by using that data exchanger, basically you can actually able to communicate with both these applications. And we know that this data exchangers, right? You have a very classical example which we use even today also we use. We call it as an XML, right? So XML is basically a data collector, actually data exchanger, software. What we have. So by it is what is XML is that it is like it is simple a tool which is used for data representation. Correct, guys? It is used as a data representation, right? So like whenever we want to communicate with one program to other program, right, we usually communicate with it with the help of some kind of a data representation which we call as an XML, right? XML stands for extended markup language, we say. Extensible markup language, we say, right? So now, like earlier in no earlier very long, right, long back, right, when the applications used to communicate each other, they used to use that XML formats actually, right? Data presentation format to always communicate between one to other, right? So even today also, like if you see in many industries, right, XMLs are used actually. It's not like XMLs have been bifurcated. Still XMLs are used. So XMLs are very good, right? The way the data represented is in XML is very good. You can parse, the parsing of the data is very good. XML still it has been used by many applications, right? Now, suppose assume that like I want to represent some data in XML format, some data. Like for example, suppose assume that this is the data collector. This is the data collector. Correct. This is the data collector or order collector actually, and which is written Node.js. Suppose assume that actually when and assume that this is something like a any hotel like Taj Hotel or Oberoi Hotel, right? A very big hotel, or else your Tata Hotel, right? Taj Hotels, not Tata Hotel, right? Taj Hotels, right? So basically, what happened, right? Even right, this application Node.js, right? Many other vendors are there, like for example, Zomato or even Swiggy to take, right? Even they can also order food in the Taj restaurant, right? So what happened that this order collector basically what happened, it collects all the details of the orders, right? Suppose assume that actually we are using an XML format actually. So XML is a format which is used actually. Okay. And basically XML has a different format actually, which XML supports a format, or it supports the data exchange format which we call the XSD actually. Something like a extensible schema descriptor, like a schema descriptor. That is a kind of a protocol, or that is the way where the XML works actually with the help of a XSD's representation, we say. Okay. Now, suppose if you say that Rajesh, I through a Swiggy, I actually ordered some food, right? And how exactly the data will be represented? Suppose you are ordering any food actually, how you can do it actually? Suppose if I want to write the same data, let me know one thing. Let me open the same Notepad++ I have, And let me go with the languages. I will just select the XML itself. See here. So I'm just selecting XML. So why I'm choosing this XML? Just to make sure that I'm getting some kind of a coloring effect when I am doing it, right? So suppose like I'll say that Rajesh, I want to, you could see that coloring has come now. So whenever you are, so now I'm writing some data where I'm just ordering some food, and you could see that how exactly in XML it looks like. So suppose I'm, so that's an ordering application. So you have something like a tag with order. Okay, it has to be closed with slash order. Okay, then now next, what happens that? Okay, now what is you need? You need to uh, place an order, right? So basically, what happened that you will be placing an order in particular date actually. So something like placed on. So what is the date to which you have placed on? So today is 07 2nd 2022, right? And the time is something like 5 o'clock. 5 p.m. you have placed the order like this, right? So that's the time where you have placed an order, and who is the who is the vendor actually? Which vendor you have ordered it? So the vendor is something like, you can make it as something like a Swiggy. So through Swiggy app, you have actually ordered it actually, and you have placed the order at this time. Okay, fine. After this, what is the items? What you're ordering it? Items. See, I'm getting a color representation because I choose the format of XML, right? Data format, right? What is an item you are ordering? Assume that you are ordering something like a biryani, no, family pack. So that's the item you are ordering it. And what else other items which you are ordering? You will order something like a something paneer chili. Okay. Any other item you want to order? Yes, you can order some other also. Okay, I can order even Coke also. Okay, let me order the Coke. So these are the items which you actually order it actually. Right. Okay, fine. Now, what else? After you placed, right? What else? You need to even get the information to like when it will be delivered, right? So suppose something like you will say that Rajesh, something delivery at delivered at actually delivered at, okay, delivered delivered at DLEVRAD, correct, delivered at. So what is it? So when was the order which you had placed? You had order placed at around 5 p.m., right? So this is what you have the data. Okay, fine. But when it will be delivered, or when it will be scheduled by something, means when it will be actually be given, the food will be given to you, or it will be given. So maybe like you will take something like 45 minutes. Yes, 45 minutes. Right. So, so guys, you could see that actually that I'm just writing an XML where I'm just placing an order through some vendor which is about Swiggy, and this is what the XML format will be arranged. This is basically you find an XML format, right? So now what happens that this, though you could see that this is very good actually, very good format. So the parsing is very good, and it is easily, you can write it easily. Secondly, what is happening that the readability is also very good actually, even the maintainability is very good, everything is good, fine from its end actually. But the problem is that actually you could see that it consumes a lot of data. See, for example, if you see this tags actually, if you see that this vendor, see again the same vendor is used here with this close with the slash actually. For every tag, right, there is one more tag will be used which will be like a closing, right? So here the XML formats, though they are very good, the disadvantage or nothing but what is the disadvantage in your XMLs are that it consumes a lot of data actually. The pros are good actually, but cons of XML are it consumes a lot of data. Correct. Now in today's world, when there is something like a Facebook or something like what else you have, what else other things we have apart from the Facebook. So something like we are having Twitter or what else other things are there, right? A lot of social medias are there, right? Like if we are trying to like download some data, or you are you viewing some online video through the Facebook or something like, suppose in case the Facebook is in turn using an XML format as a data representation or the data exchange between one application to other applications, then what happened, right? A lot of data will be used for reordering or for maintaining this XML itself actually. Correct. It means that when a data is translated from the server to the applications, if your Facebook is using from the server to the application or from the application to the server, you need to use a lot of data. A lot of data is needed actually, and that lot of data, what we call in we call it as a payload actually. So a lot of payload will be used only to like represent the data itself. So like if in that way, what happened, like that end user has to give a lot of, he has to spend a lot of money on the data itself, right? Because a lot of data itself is used for doing an exchange operations. So hence it is not feasible, right? So working on XML these days is not feasible because it consumes a lot of data, and or a lot of payload will be used actually. So it is not a good idea to use now. So that's the reason what happened, right? We have come across with the JSON format actually. JSON we call it as a JavaScript object notification, or else we have a YAML format. YAML called as a yet another markup language. So again, what are this? Again, these two are nothing but, this are nothing but data exchanger tool, or this is a representation tools actually. Data exchange tool or data representation tool we say actually. JSON or YAML actually. Now the same, suppose assume that the same data, whatever we have, right, whatever we have written in XML, suppose I want to write in the JSON format. You see that how so simple to write. So let me open the notepad. So right now, how the JSON works. See, always the JSON works with the open the curly bracket and close the curly bracket. So that's how. And here what happened, right? Always what happened, right? Here you always JSON works with the key and the value pair actually. JSON is nothing but, JSON always represents the data in key and value pair. Means you have a key and you have a value, that's all. So that is what it represents. It represents the data in a key and a value pair. So it is very simple to maintain the same data or represent this data in the JSON format. How to do that? So what I will do, like I will just say that actually same thing, like I have a vendor, so I will do one thing like something like this vendor, okay, and I will use something like a Swiggy. Some of you know this, all these things variable, but I'm just saying placed on, but at what time you have placed it. So guys, here what happened, right? Here in case of JSON, actually, you can use a double quote, or else you can even use a single quote also. Anything is okay. You can even use a single quote also like this. In many books or in many articles, you would see that some people are using single quotes, some people are using double quotes. It doesn't really matter. You can even use single quote also or double quote. Anything is fine. So now, placed on what else? We have something known as the items, right? So items. So what are the items you have? So you say that okay, you are ordering a family biryani family pack, okay. And here what happened? One thing is that whenever you are writing a data in the JSON format, always this data end with the semicolon, so comma actually. Comma represents that there are still many more other data that are there to be read actually. So you should always maintain a comma here, okay. So same thing like here, So, okay, what else? What else you have? You have something like delivered at, right? Delivered at. Delivered at. So, same thing. Scheduled at. Time, right? So this will be the deliver time, right? Scheduled time or deliver time. So now you could see that. See here. Now, whatever the clutters you have in maintaining or in representing all data in your XML format, can you make out like so? It is so simple. The data representation in JSON, right? Right, all kind of a clutter, odd kind of a, like tags under what you're using, right? The opening tag and the closing tag, right? So these are all have been, it has all been removed from the JSON format actually. So the data looks so simple here, and like it is consuming very less data, right? So hence what happened, right? This JSON was very much used actually. So here what happened, that JSON represents JavaScript object notation. It means that what are the syntax we are having here, right? We are using the syntax from the JavaScript, even though we don't know what exactly the JavaScript is, and we know to learn about what is the JavaScript, but still we are using the syntax what is used in the JavaScripting. So JavaScripting also we use something as a key and a value pair we use it. So the same thing it is used in a JSON format now. So here, so you can make out, right, which is better, this or this. This is better, right, because it is consuming very less data. It's just a very easy way of handy, and it is very easy to write, right? And this data can be represent both, it can be read by both human as well as a program or the softwares, right? So writing a JSON format is very easy. It's very simple. Writing JSON format is very simple and easy, right? What are other advantage? Easily understandable both by humans as well as softwares or the applications, you can say, right? So so that's what happened. The JSON came into the picture. So JSON was derived from the JavaScript itself. So they use all the syntax. So here we have one more data representation we call as a YAML, yet another markup language, or YAML ain't markup language, like that we say. We can call it as any way actually. YAML is also the same thing like a JSON format itself, but here what happened, the way YAML looks is very pretty simple compared to even JSON also. So JSON looks good, but YAML looks still more simple actually. Okay, so can we write the same data in YAML? How to write in a YAML? Like for example, so before we go that actually, I will want to tell you some more things about the JSON or YAML actually. What are the different datas? What are the different data types used in JSON or YAML, right? So we use something like a text, or we call it as a string. Okay, text or the string. That's one data type actually. Okay, and here you could see that always text or the data, it is represented in a single quote or in a double quote. So you can either mention the double quote, or you can even mention as a single quote like this. Okay, we have something known as the numbers actually. Okay, numbers is represented is nothing but numbers is represented in a string. You could see that here. Basically, if you're seeing the placed on, this is nothing but it represents like a number, right? So placed on is something like it looks like a number type actually, right? Or like it is like an integer type actually. So there, what happened that you are not, you can either use a single quote, or without single quote or double quote also you can represents the number actually. Apart from the number, you have something as a boolean actually. What my boolean means? Boolean will always have a single value, right? Either yes or no, we say, or either something like a true or false. Anything can be used actually in case of boolean. Apart from that, you have something like a list actually. So list is basic, like suppose you have a more than one item, right, to represent. Like for example, here in the items, right, you have something like a biryani family pack, paneer, chili, coke, right? These are the data, right? This we call it as a list actually. List is same thing like an array is what we use in other language, right? So list is not, but list is always represented with the open square bracket and close square bracket happens, right? List, right? And we have one more type, we call it as a complex type, or we call it as a object we call. And here objects or complex types are represented with your, again with your flow bracket, right? Open the flow bracket and close with the flow bracket. So basically complex are nothing but complex data are nothing but, suppose like you say that Rajesh, you want to represent your home address. So home address is not like you can mention in one text string or you can mention in one numbers. You cannot do like that, right? You have different datas actually. You have different value pair. Like for example, what is a flat number? Like okay, flat number is 101. What is an apartment name? Apartment is Pragati, right? What is a cross? Sixth B cross. What is an area? Right, like that there are different key value pairs are there. So whenever you are representing the information about your address or home address, it's not like in a single string or in a single text you can mention it, because you have a different data types are there, right? Different data representations are there. Like for example, landmark, that's a different data type. Home address, flat number, different data type, right? So you want to combinely combinedly mix more than one data type. Like in that case, we using a complex as a data type, or we call it even as an object also. So that always it represents with the flow bracket and close bracket. Here you could see that it is delivered at, but inside it there are many other are there. Like you have to even mention what is the placed on, what is the schedule time, when it will be delivered, right? So these are the two again key and value pairs are there. So this is not, but it's a complex data type, right? So the complex data type is always represented with the open and flow bracket like that. So these are the different data types are used. The same data types are even used in YAML also, and even in JSON. Both are uses the same data types. Now, here, how exactly I can mention the same data type when it comes to your YAML actually. Yes, guys. Any questions you have? Just let me know if you are having any questions. No? Okay. Okay. Fine. Now I want to represent the same data in YAML actually, right? So let me do one thing. Let me open one more notepad plus plus, and let me select the uh, YAML format. You could see that YAML format, right? I'm just clicking over here actually. Okay. Now, what are the data you have? So you have something like a vendor. Okay, fine. So always, whenever you write any YAML format, the YAML will always start with the three hyphens actually. Three hyphens. Okay. And after that, okay, why it is three hyphens, we'll tell you later, but just try to understand that it always starts with three hyphens. Okay. And then like what is the vendor name? Like for example, you say like vendor, VNDOR, colon, and you have to mention what is it. It is a Swiggy. You can either use a double quote or a single quote like this. Okay, fine. After that, what you have placed on, placed on, placed on. Is that after that? What you have items, because item is a list actually. Now you could see that how I mentioned items is a list. You have to come down here, give two space or four space. I'll give two space, one, two, and you mention hyphen and just say family biryani pack like this. Sorry, I think I have to mention here. So you have many more list values, right? Like this. The spacing should be correct. See here, after I, I'm just giving two space and using hyphen. So this represent that this is a list actually. got over. Now you have a delivered art actually. Delivered art. Okay. Now delivered art actually, again, what is happened that it is also having a key and a value pair actually, right? Key and a value pair. So how do you represent, sir? You represent something like this actually. Delivered at, delivered at. Uh, Here you could see that, guys, I'm not using any comma here. Comma is not required. Whereas here you could see that always in the JSON, it is always converted to the, you have to mention the comma at the end actually. So here, how you can mention the complex type actually. You can mention the complex type with the help of, wait a second. Okay. To space based on this. So here again, schedule dot. Okay, guys, this is how you represent the YAML form. It's the same way, but you could make out that, right? Here, what happened, right? This looks very simple way, right? This looks more simple than the JSON actually, right? So that's the reason what happened that many people opt. You can use anything, either JSON format or YAML format. Anything can be used, but most of the people know they always prefer to use the YAML format representation. Okay, so this is how you have to learn, like how you can represent the data, the key and value pair, either in JSON or in the YAML format actually. Okay, so your Ansible, whatever we are writing in Ansible, right? That is number the playbook file. You can write the playbook file either in a YAML or a JSON, anything your Ansible will support for it. Okay, so this is how, guys, the data are represented in your YAML and JSON format. Let me know if you have any doubt actually. If you have any doubt, let me know, or else we'll move forward. Okay, now, okay. So now there are some key terminologies are there in Ansible. Like, let us understand what are those terminologies or Ansible key components or key terms actually. So what are the key terms actually? The first is that we know very well that we have come across many times with this inventory. So what is this inventory? We say that it is a list of nodes actually, which the Ansible control server, we call it the ACS, right? Ansible control servers, uh, will connect, right? Will connect to the nodes, right? That's what it has a list of all the nodes IP address, right? The inventories. So, and you know, this inventory is not, but by default it is etc ansible slash host file. This we have seen it. Second is that actually we have something as a model. You know that we have been using the models from last two sessions, right? So what is a model? Model is not, but it is a atomic unit of automation, right? So whatever the task you want to achieve through Ansible, you can achieve the task with the help of a model itself. So model is not, but it's a smallest unit of, it's a smallest unit of execution of a code in Ansible. We call it as a model actually. Without a model, the Ansible will not work. Always Ansible make use of internet, make use of lot of models. So we can even call the model as something like atomic unit of automation in Ansible. Right? What else we have? We'll come up with some terms to the, and always you know that we use this model actually. Why we are using this model, you know very well that actually we specify whatever we use the model. Why we use the model? Because we specify our desired state in Ansible, right? Using these models, correct? Then what else you have? Something we have something the task. Don't worry now. We'll come up with all these things. Task is nothing but task in Ansible will consist of how I can say it consists of modules actually. It will be that each and every task will be having a minimum of one model or more than one model also, right? Every task will consist of a model actually, right? What are the other terminologies what we use in Ansible? We call something as a play actually. What is a play? So always play, play is the word. Always play consists of multiple tasks actually. So there are a lot of a lot of tasks you can write within the YAML file or within your playbook file. So if there are more than one task, suppose you have some 10 tasks are there you want to achieve, so you'll be using this task actually. Each and every task will either have one model or more than one model. So all those multiple tasks together we call it as a play actually. Okay, and the fifth term what we call it as a playbook actually. So what is this playbook? The playbook will consists of one or more plays actually. Okay. So these things I will let you know later. What is this playbook means? Playbook is what it consists of one or more plays. It means that if you are having multiple plays in the same YAML file, all those plays together we call it as a playbook file. Okay. So now, so these are the key terminologies which we always use in our Ansible. So I'll be using this task, play, playbook, and all every time whenever I am writing the YAML file. Okay. So now, so what we'll be doing now is that guys, actually, we will be writing a simple YAMLs actually, very simple playbook file or YAML file. Okay. So before that, let me do one thing. Let me log into the servers actually. So here what happened in today's session, I'll be using three servers. One is Ansible server, which is nothing but your Ansible control node, and others are node 1 and node 2. And as you know very well that all these three servers are nothing but those are Ubuntu servers, Ubuntu 18.04 servers, right? And this node 3, which I have not yet made it up, this is nothing but your CentOS machine actually. It is 7.8 CentOS server machine. Okay. So right now I'm not launching it or I'm not logging, I'm not using this actually. Hence I've kept it stopped actually. Whenever I need it, I'll make it on. Okay. So now what I will do, like I will try to log into all these servers actually. So let me log into it. Okay. So since I have a root password, right? I need not to, I can directly log into the servers actually. Okay. I need not to give any SSH auth key and all. It is not required because I know the root's password. I have enabled the root's login also, right? Okay, I have logged in as into the Ansible server. Fine. So let me log into the node 1 and node 2. So here also node 1 also I have a root password. So I need not to use auth key and all to log in. I will be directly login as a root user itself. So root. I think I given wrong password. Okay. So logged in. So this is the node 1. Why it is showing you the node 2? 253. Hold a second, guys. So if I execute the ifconfig command, it is 165, but it is showing as a node 2 here. Sorry, I think I'll change the name. So I'll make it as a node 1 actually. Okay. So this is a node 1 actually, right? Node 2, I will log in it. So node 2, copy the public IP. Okay, sorry, I think I have to open this putty. So this change appearance. I'll directly log into the server as a root itself. Root. Okay, guys. Now, guys, one of the question was being asked to me by one of the guy, like why we are using a root user. If you are using a root user, we do have to do the same thing what we did for the DevOps user, right? See, in our scenario, what I did, right? You know, you remember, like in our previous sessions and all, in our earlier sessions, right? I had configured, I had set up the entire Ansible server and the nodes, right? So this is the Ansible control node or control server, and these are node 1 and node 2 and node 3, right? So this is nothing but the Ansible server. And this is nothing but your node 1 and node 2. You know very well this one. All these are Ubuntu servers, right? Node 2. But you know that I had earlier I had configured with the user account by name DevOps actually. And I had given the password also was the DevOps. Correct? So I had given the username as a DevOps and password also as a DevOps only. Right? Similarly, I did here also the same thing actually. Why I'm doing it like this? Because like you know that whenever you are communicating, right? Whenever your Ansible control server want to communicate the node 1, node 2, you have to do some kind of a passwordless communication. So with so how you can do a passwordless communication with the help of some common user account, DevOps. So what I did, right? Whatever my public key is there, right? Like ID underscore RSA pub, right? So this public key, you know very well that we had copied this public key from here to node 1 and again to node 2. So this public key was exchanged or copied to where by using SSH copy ID, right? SSH copy ID, that's a command we use, right, to copy it. So we did all these things, right? In the first or second session, we did this. And we try to copy this public key. So once you have copied this public key, what happened, right? From the Ansible server, you can able to directly log in into the node 1 and node 2. And when you're logging it, it doesn't ask for the password, right? It's all fine. So this is the way we have to do. Now you would ask Rajesh, you are doing now login as a root user, right? So here what happened that you are login as a root user, fine. Here also a login as a root user. Here also login as a root user. But the question comes that why you are doing with a root user when you are already having a DevOps user. Or else you can even create some other user account also, right? I can create Mahesh user here, Mahesh here, all the three servers, or else Naresh. Do all these things, exchange the key and all, make it communicate. Fine, that's all fine, it will work. But what I saw that actually while practicing it or while working on it, some models are not properly working with the other normal sudo user accounts. It was not working. For example, like package model was not properly working for me, right? Few other models were not properly working. It is not able to properly install or uninstall the package and all. So hence what happened, like I shifted to the root user. So what I did that I made sure that you can log into the server, the root user account itself, right? Now what happened here as a root user, I did the same thing. I did a SSF and keygen. I did same thing. I did whatever I did. I created a key here, right? So whatever the ID underscore RSA dot pub of the roots, right? That I copied over here to node 1 and node 2, right? So how I did again the same thing, SSH hyphen copy ID. So being a root user, I did everything. So here also you logged in as a root user. Here also you logged in as a user. So I did an exchange of this key being as a root user itself. So here you will have one more root user account through which you can actually communicate with your node 1 and node 2. How I was doing earlier, right? DevOps. So by using roots account, right, I'm able to run any model. So I was not getting any kind of error. But earlier when I was using as a DevOps user or